for anybody afterwards, I have a flyer with me about the economic benefits of hiring somebody in recovery that was produced by Faces and Voices of Recovery, a national advocacy organization. So I'm happy to share that, or, you know, just, there are economic benefits to hiring that population. So thank you. Okay, what do you think the best outcomes for businesses who tap into these hidden talent pools would be?
You know, I think the best outcome would be have a good, solid business, a profitable business, a business that's growing. You know, like Helga said earlier, Volusia County is not going backward; it's going forward, it's growing. And I think for us, hiring people with these stigmas surrounding them, I guess, has really helped us. You're going to hire somebody who's got some gratitude, who wants to work, who wants to show up and do the job, and do the job the right way. So I think all around, you know, the company's going to do well from that. And speaking about Yellowstone as a company, you know, our employee retention over the last 3 years is around 95%. So, and we're continuing to grow, you know, 25 to 30% year over year. So this is something that we have a lot of experience.
Thank you. Anybody else like to answer that?
I would say in addition to being just good for your business, think about this. If you're an employer that is known to be a good place to work and having a retention rate like that with 95%, you actually come to a place, it's not going to be that hard for you to hire people because people are going to be contacting you. They're going to work for their organization. So it's a win-win all the way around. And for the organizations that are concerned about, are you a good corporate citizen in your community? And I know we have several employers here in Daytona Beach area that really are. That makes a big difference as well.
Anybody else? So the next one is successful recruitment efforts can be built through collaboration with community-based partners. What agencies do you partner with that have connections to qualified candidates?
Well, in my case with the project search, those kids are all graduated from high school on their own, and then they go through a process that they want to get into this project search field to try to learn a trade, and we give everybody a chance in every department that they would like. I lost the words, and that's unusual for me, but I think you just need to give them an opportunity. They have spent all this time graduating, and they come in and they want to go through this scrutiny. And it's not easy to get chosen to be a project search person. I mean, the Volusia County School Board does a fantastic job. So when they bring people in, they have to go through a heck of an ordeal just to get chosen to be. So I think that's a positive, and that gives us some incentive to work with them.
Mm-hmm. Great. Anybody else like to answer that about community partners?
Well, I've already mentioned my community partners earlier.
Well, I know for us, our community partners are more for our clients, not so much for the neighborhood center, because this is a great place to work and everyone wants to work there. So my director's here. So for us, it is like Career Source is one of our partners, and they're gracing me with a few laptops for our new computer lab. I still need two if anyone else wants to donate. Shameless plug. But what we do is mostly, like I said, it's the agencies. It's not so much agencies, it's mostly the local businesses, but we do try to get them connected with, you know, all of the different jobs, connects in the area, get them over to Career Source. Now they'll be able to actually do that work at the neighborhood center versus having to go to either Daytona or Orange City. Because as you know, most people have issues with transportation that are with these type of issues that we're talking about.
So, where can a business go to find these target populations with the skill sets they need to fill their specific job openings?
They should just come to the neighborhood center. I have currently like a whole bunch of clients. People do pull up on a daily basis that even if they need just small jobs, but I do, like I said, have businesses that come there because they don't realize that the amount of people we have on our property that we are currently helping and housing, that is their opportunity to get a very grateful and loyal employee. Because if you take somebody who does not believe they can even get a job and give them a job, they will work harder for you than anyone you have ever hired.
They can also call the Volusia Recovery Alliance, because we do help
There you
people
go.
find jobs. Especially through our contract with Career Source, but beyond that as well, so just a reminder. Let's see. What question would you like to hear businesses ask, and how would you answer that question?
I guess I don't understand the question.
Yeah.
So are there anything else that you would want to dig into underneath this conversation that we've had so far that questions that should be asked that maybe we're not hearing about? Is that out
Yes. I'm just processing.
there?
We did the jokes. Say, can you use it in a sentence? Can you
The
give us an
question I would have
example?
is, are there any organizations that have questions about certain criminal background checks and those results they receive that they have concerns about? That's a question I would wonder, do businesses have?
I think that might be one of the table questions, which would be great.
Okay, we'll come to that later.
Bryan, did you have any thoughts?
No,
So I actually have a question. So what keeps you from not being willing to hear somebody's story of redemption, so to speak? Or does that happen in your business?
well, I think, coming from where I come from and, knowing my story, I'm always willing to hear someone's story of redemption, right? Like, I'm always willing to sit down and listen and figure out if somebody has something to offer. I think, from my experience, hiring people that have similar backgrounds to me and knowing that what people have come from, what they want to be, is something that you can form into a great employee. And the other thing I think too is, if I know somebody's story, if I know somebody's in recovery or is, in the process of being in recovery, as an employer, if I understand that, I can also see the signs of if someone's in a relapse. And I can see those signs, and I can, we can offer help and we can take those necessary steps too. So I think it's important to build that form of trust and comfort to have those kind of conversations. So if that does happen, that you're able to be there and offer help if they're willing to accept it.
So part of what Bryan is describing is a recovery-friendly workplace, which is a personal goal of mine to help businesses become that, right? Because we know that a lot of people in these particular populations, they are grateful to be given a second chance, and they make fantastic employees, pretty much as a whole. But of course, there's exceptions, but that is kind of a lot of what I've seen in my years of being in business.
I got
So-
one comment about that. It's been mentioned, but when you hire people, these hidden talent pools, and I've actually done an analysis on this, I found that the attendance ratio of call-outs is far less for that particular group than the other population. When we have job performance reviews, they typically actually outperform, score-wise, than the other populations. So again, it's actually, to me, it's actually a better resource to actually hire from, candidly.
Thank you. So the last question before we turn it over to questions from everybody at our tables, is there anything else that we're leaving out that needs to be addressed?
don't think we've left anything out. I just think we need to again think about just decades ago, many decades ago in the United States, our number one industry was agriculture. And the world continued to evolve, and we went into manufacturing, which we still have some of that today, not as much as we used to. But the world has continued to evolve again, and so now you're looking at .com e-commerce. So as an employers, again, with your mindset, candidly, we actually need to stop and think about how we did business in 2015. We need to just decide we have a new business model post-COVID. I know we showed 5 generations on the board, but right now we're in a society with 7 generations. They are all different. I know that can be challenging for employers. I recently was something I thought was very simple, but I was educated 2 weeks ago. We were having a discussion about how one person viewed, well, Jordan, this person wouldn't look me in the eye. They had interviewed this person. They didn't want to hire them. I think they were trying to hide something from me. And I can understand where that person is coming from. That can be a body language cue that that is the truth. However, this person was actually 21 years old, and for me I talk to a lot of young people often. When you think about a society of kids who come up looking at screens and allow this virtual non-reality, it was not a sign of them lying or disrespect. It was just that's their particular style, and being able to know the differences of when it is a situation of when that may be the case, that the person's being untruthful, versus when it's just really a natural reaction for that person. And I can say that I had a vendor call me one day. This person was actually 29 years old. He disclosed that. And it was a virtual conversation for the sales call, and we're talking. And so I even mentioned that to him because of his age. I wanted to hear his perspective. He was 29, and he said to me the same thing. He said, even though I know I have to go into rooms, and this is someone who had a college degree, been in sales for 5 years, when I have to meet with my leaders and the VPs, he said, I do find myself getting a little anxiety before I walk through the door, because in his job, he's working from home, number one, and all day long, he's on these virtual calls. So I just, again, think, as employers, we have to really dig a little deeper to recognize having those conversations and put them in context as to who you're speaking to be able to make the best decisions for your company.
It's also a cultural thing. So I
Okay,
had
cultural.
I had the privilege of living in Japan, living and working in Japan, in Osaka, and working with the Japanese. They tend to never look you in the eye. So it's a cultural thing as well. So it's important to be, educated about different cultural differences that people have when looking at body language and other communication techniques. Thank you. So I did whisper that those of us in healthcare or in the recovery industry often have challenges with exemptions, which I won't go into it. It's just something to be aware of, that some people have to go through very rigorous background checks, and that's a barrier for hiring. That's a discussion for another day. So at this time, we're going to open it up for questions from the floor.
Hi. So how do you or would you navigate resistance from your superiors? If you wanted to incorporate or implement a program to become more inclusive of these hidden talent pools, how would you navigate that?
Again, just take some of the data you just received today and go back and sit down and look at your industry and provide those good news stories, the wins that's taking place. Talk to other people in the community as well. And don't give up. Again, when I came here, it didn't happen in the first conversation, it didn't happen in the fourth conversation. But I am a persistent person, also, I will say that. It took about 18 months, but it happened.
And did you guys set a quota on how many people that you guys were willing to hire from that? Okay.
What I attempt to do is to have a diverse talent pool anytime we apply, or try to hire for any position if I can. I try to make sure that's part of the population, if possible. But there's no quota for anything. I just want the best people to work for us.